Squish natural lemon juice.
Hello and welcome to ZTN News Blitz. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Owen Kaura. The headlines. A Zimbabwe man jailed 30 years for raping his daughters. Weatherman predicts a cold, wet weekend. Imbibers petition government to reopen bars. And in sport, Pakistan impressed with the bat as Zimbabwe trails. Now, a 45-year-old man in Zimbabwe's Beitbridge border town has been jailed for 30 years for raping his 2 daughters and a 3rd child. The 3 victims are aged between 7 and 9 years. The convict, whose name is being withheld to protect the ZTN's Beitbridge correspondent Tupeo Mleya, gives us more.
A 45-year-old Beitbridge man has been jailed for an effective 30 years after he was convicted of sexually abusing his 2 daughters aged 8 and 9 years and also sexually abusing twice his neighbor's daughter aged 7 years. Midzo Swanda is accused of raping the 3 minors between January last year and January this year. The case came to light this year after Midzo was arrested on a different charge and his children were taken to a local children's home where they narrated their ordeal to the social workers. The Beitbridge Regional Magistrate, Miss Stembiso Ndebele, slapped Midzo with 30 years imprisonment, with each count attracting.
Now, if you're in Zimbabwe and in areas such as Masvingo Midlands and Matabeleland South, you may just need some warm clothes this weekend. The weatherman predicts a cold and wet weekend as the country braces for winter. James Ngoma, the chief forecaster at the Meteorological Services Department, speaks.
A cold and cloudy weekend up ahead with a few showers over Mashonaland East, Mashonaland Central and Mash East, including Harare Metropolitan. But for today, we're expecting cloudy conditions by evening with light showers over much of the country. However, tomorrow it's expected to be rather cold over provinces such as Masvingo, Manicaland and Matabeleland South, where to be cloudy for much of the day. But for the rest of the country, sunny breaks here and there with a few showers. That's all for our weather and forecast. Enjoy your weekend. 2
Air Force of Zimbabwe pilots and a technician who died in a helicopter crash in Goromonzi last week were honored with a colorful parade at Manyame Air Base in Harare earlier today. The pilots are Wing Commander Thomas Tinashe Manyowa and Flight Lieutenant Anita Mapie, while the aircraft technician is Flight Sergeant Tinodiwanashe Chikami. Wing Commander Manyowa will be buried in Chinoi, while Flight Lieutenant Mapie will be buried at Glen Forest Memorial Park in Harare. Flight Sergeant Chikami will be buried at Mucheke Cemetery in Masvingo. Our correspondent Itai Mutiniri is at Manyame Air Base to give us more.
We've come to the end of the funeral parade here of the 3 crew members that died in a horrific helicopter crash that took place in Churus on the 23rd of April, which claimed 4 lives, 3 crew members of the Air Force of Zimbabwe and 1 18-month-old toddler. I can describe the atmosphere as somber. It seems like there's a dark cloud that has come over the area as people are still in shock over what happened. The 2 pilots are Wing Commander Tinashe Thomas Manyowa.
Thank you.
We have Flight Lieutenant Anita Mapie as well as Flight Technician Tinodiwanashe Chikami. Earlier on, we saw their bodies being guided by the bands, and we saw their obituaries being read, and they were described as people that were very passionate and dedicated to their jobs. Later on, there was the laying of wreaths, and right now we have come to the end of the whole parade, and the bodies are now going to the chapel.
Now, we seem to have lost Itai there, but moving on, the newly formed AFC Holdings will offer funding across the whole agriculture value chain to ensure the country's food security. Officially launching the institution, formerly known as Agribank, President Emerson Mnangagwa said the younger generation should take farming as a business which can offer them employment.
We are confident that the Agricultural Finance Corporation provides appropriate short to long-term financial products and packages to all categories of farmers. This will help insulate, propel, and sustain our agricultural revolution. Support for agricultural value chain development, agro-processing, irrigation and infrastructure development, mechanization, and the capacity building of farmers is of equal importance.
And staying with the land, close to 90% of Zimbabwe is at high risk of experiencing felt fires this year. According to the Environmental Management Agency, about 89% of the country is this year lying in the high to extreme high risk of.
Because people can make money with sneakers. People just love. It's like fashion. It's a fashion trend.
And in regional and international news, South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has conveyed his condolences to the royal Zulu family following the passing of Queen Shio Mantfombi Dlamini Zulu. The regent's passing on Thursday follows that of King Goodwill Zwelithini on the 12th of March. Queen Mantfombi, aged 65, became interim leader of the country's largest ethnic group last month after the death of her husband. And at least 44 people have been killed in a crash at a crowded religious festival in Israel. Dozens more were injured at the festival, which takes place annually at the foot of Mount Meron. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described it as a heavy disaster. Tens of thousands of Orthodox Jews attended the festival, making it the largest event in Israel since the coronavirus pandemic began. And that story taking us to sports news.
Dokuda.
Ndokudao.
And in sport, a poor first innings by Zimbabwe that saw them being bowled out for a paltry 176 on day one, and Pakistan's impressive show with the bat going into day two is what has characterized the first test match at Harare Sports Club. After 97 overs, Pakistan are leading by 101 runs, having lost 4 wickets. And Zimbabwe karate coach Winston Nyanete believes the sport is now starting to recover after the COVID-19 pandemic had brought everything to a halt since last year. Karate is one of Zimbabwe's most successful sports in as far as winning international medals is concerned.
Because of the lockdown, things are not so clear right now, but everyone is working tirelessly to get back into competition. You know, we have got all these precautions that we're supposed to take before we can successfully host an event. But yeah, our administration is working tirelessly towards you know, conforming to what the government regulations are, so that we can get back on the field.
Now, the long spell without action has also meant that some who had a chance to make it for the Tokyo Olympics will miss out. But in the true spirit of the game, they have been patient and they are not giving up. Martial arts ending a news blitz on a Friday. Have a good weekend, but remember to connect with us on our social media platforms: Twitter at ZTN News, Facebook Zimpapers TV Network, and of course you can also visit our website ztn.co.zw for the latest. Good afternoon.